Hello, this is Dee Blake. I'm here with the League of Women Voters, and this is a 2016 Video Voter Guide. We are here in Gresham this morning at the MetroEast Community Media, and I am here with Councillor Rich Allen of Troutdale. Good morning. And is it all right if I call you Rich?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And I understand you are running for the open seat of Troutdale Mayor. Can you tell the voters a little bit about your background and why you were seeking this position?
Well, I'm an engineer, and in 2010 I ran for Troutdale City Council. I won that position, and I ran again 2 years ago. I won again, and this time I'm running for Troutdale Mayor.
Okay. And why are you running for mayor? I mean, you must have some reasons for that.
Oh, yes. So, as a city councilor, the mayor in Troutdale and the city councilors, we all get one vote. The difference with the mayor is they can set the agenda and therefore the direction of the city.
Okay.
And that's what I'm really hoping for.
Okay. I didn't know that. All right. So, what sets you apart from the other candidates? I understand you have some opposition.
I do have opposition. So, I made an earlier promise to myself that no matter what the issue is, I was going to represent the best interests of the people that I serve. And when you do that, you get some opposition.
Okay.
But I wouldn't change it for anything.
Okay. So what ideas do you have for dealing with one of the big problems in the greater area, which is the homeless population in need of social services? That I assume is a problem in Troutdale as well.
Increasingly.
Okay. All right.
So this is a subject I know something about.
Okay.
Having come across hard times and been homeless myself, and then 30 years of volunteering for different groups that help out homeless. What I've noticed is in the last 30 years that my wife and I have been helping, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And we need to recognize that what we have here is actually a national problem. And now that doesn't mean that we stop doing what we can on the local level. It just means that it's a transient population, and we need to be coordinated, and all jurisdictions and all states need to do their share.
So it's not just a Troutdale problem. You need to work with other communities and in the larger context.
That's true.
So what specific ideas do you have for how you would deal with that in Troutdale? And maybe you can talk to your past experience with this issue.
Well, identifying that it's a national problem,
Okay.
that's the first
Okay.
priority. The second one is we need to actually stop making new homeless.
Okay.
And that has a lot to do with, and I appreciate this venue, because people have a hard time understanding or discerning who is it that represents them. And so they get the flyer in the mail, and they look at the different candidates, and the flyer may not be any different between two different candidates. How do you discern who's actually for the people and who's not? Why that is important is when legislation is made, that makes it harder for people to survive and earn a living and run a household. It just gets more burdensome, and people sometimes can't do it anymore, and they lose their home. Mm-hmm. And the third thing is we need to stabilize. We need to stabilize the homeless population. Now, what I mean by that is as long as the population is on the street and moving around, it's very difficult for our social workers to actually work to resolve the problem, because the clients may move. Mm-hmm. And it takes more than just a single interaction in order to help somebody, and sometimes follow-up. And if you know where they are, you can do that. Mm-hmm. And it's so much cheaper than what we're doing now. What we're doing now is we bring them in, we're processing them, we try to help them, off they go, and we may not be able to do good follow-up. And then it happens again. And all that is just a repeating door, and then we move them from place to place. That's not the way to solve it. We need to get them off the streets.
Okay. what do you see as the major needs and goals of Troutdale right now?
Well, the first and most important goal that I want to do is I want to include people more in setting the goals of Troutdale. Not just me, not just the council, but let's hear from the people what they want. And then the second thing that I also know about is in our development opportunities, I have priorities. The Tripp property, which is a project of the Port of Portland, that's my number one priority. Reason being is that it's the best return on investment. We've been putting a lot of work on improving infrastructure and supporting the Port of Portland, not just Troutdale, not just Port of Portland, but a number of different groups, ODOT in the area. We all work together to create opportunities, and that will help fund some of our other goals.
Okay. For those that don't know, that includes myself, what is the Tripp property that you've referenced?
The Tripp property is Troutdale Reynolds Industrial Park.
Okay. All right.
And it's our industrial lands to the north of Troutdale. It's about 350 acres. It was divided up in a few phases. The first phase was completed, and that was FedEx. The second phase is approximately 184 acres, split up into 9 different size lots that we're developing. And it's very important that the jurisdictions work together to actually make it happen.
Okay. All right, good. And you talked a little bit about the difference between the council and the mayor position. How would you strengthen the council's working relationships as mayor with surrounding jurisdictions on issues such as transportation policy, policing, social services, and economy? You talked a little bit about how homelessness ties in with other districts, but can you talk to that more generally?
Well, it's nobody does this alone. No jurisdiction does the large-scale projects on their own. It actually takes all of us working together to make good things happen. You'll notice that in Troutdale, when I talk about the infrastructure to help the Troutdale Reynolds Industrial Project, or park, the Tripp property, to be successful, you had the Oregon Legislature, you had Port of Portland, you had ODOT, you had a number of different agencies and people helping to push that forward. That also happens on the 40-mile loop, which is a bike trail to the north of Troutdale. I couldn't do it alone. All I can do is assist the good work that other people are doing, and that's what I do.
Okay. Do you think there are ways that those relationships could be strengthened, and that's things you bring to the table that could help that as mayor?
Well, that's all about communication.
Okay.
Working with each other on the goals that we have that are important to the region, and if this Troutdale Council turns around, and we actually win this election, it's going to be night and day.
Okay.
I'm supporting Glenn White, Zach Hudson, and Corey Brooks.
They're running for city council.
They're running for city council.
All right.
And it's going to be different than what we've been experiencing because we work for the people.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great. Anything, we just have a moment, anything you want to add that we haven't touched on that you think is important that the voters hear?
Well, I want to say on the regional things, I was part of the East Monoma County Transportation Committee, in which a number of different organizations get together to try to improve transportation in the region.
Okay.
And I want to say that 2 very important improvements that have occurred with TriMet is the text to 911.
Okay.
People need to be able to feel safe when they're using public transportation, and the transit tracker.
Okay.
I sold my car.
Oh, good
and
for
I've
you.
been taking the bus with a bus pass, or using my daughter's car.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much, Rich. I'm Dee Blake again with the League of Women Voters. I want to remind you to vote on November 8th, is Election Day, and also to register by October 18th. Thank you so much for watching this.